Strokes are on the rise amongst younger people, not limited to people who are over the age of 65. Recent reports suggest that young people make up approximately 10% of all strokes that occur in people under the age of 45. And that number is now on the rise. We're going to be speaking to neurologist Dr. Dimakatso Makwela, who offers important tips to be aware of. A very good evening to you, Doctor. Thank you very much for joining us here on the SABC.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Right, Dr. Dimakatso, perhaps you can just describe what a stroke ultimately is for those who are watching. In terms of the stats, the realities facing South Africa, what does that picture look like as well?
So a stroke is interruption in blood supply to parts of the brain. This can happen when you have a clot that blocks the blood supply, or there's a rupture in the blood vessel and then there's an interruption in blood flow. Brain parts don't get oxygen that it needs or even the nutrition that it needs, and that results in cell death. So therefore you get brain cell death. So strokes are very common, and unfortunately in our country of South Africa, we don't have nice stats, but anecdotally, we can only say that unfortunately it's very common. It's not getting the right attention that it needs, and results in in a lot of, the results are that you lose income, there's economic implications to it. Strokes are very expensive to manage. You need doctors, you need rehabilitation staff, including physios, OT. You need people who look after you, and people may result even in caregivers from the family having to leave employment just to be available to the care of a person who needs constant care as a result of it.
Perhaps before we get to unpacking that further, I just want to go back on the back of your definition in terms of what a stroke is. Perceptions around, who it can affect also need to be debunked. Strokes can actually occur to anyone at any age. And perhaps you can walk us through the warning signs, what to look out for.
So most commonly, we try and teach people to be aware of the mnemonic B fast, and each letter standing for signs or symptoms that you need to be aware of to say this might actually be a stroke. Most commonly, people know of a stroke where a person loses function on one side of the body, the arm and leg may be weak, but other times it could just be a balance issue. So you're not necessarily weak, but you don't have nice balance. And the balance can be just in the arm that you're losing balance. That's the B in the mnemonic B fast. Eye symptoms be that you lose vision in one eye or you have double vision. And then the F being for face weakness, your face turns to one side or is drooping on the one side. The A being for arm weakness, and the S being that you have problems with your speech. Either you start having slurred speech or you cannot even speak or even understand speak. And the teacher says that you have limited time to try and get urgent attention, where the stroke itself can be completely reversed. So there is help available if you present on time and not wait just to see, is it going to go away? Can I do these home remedies? But rather to go to your nearest hospital and you can literally get help to have it reversed.
You're actually touching on my next point. You've spoken about the effects and even the costs of recovery, which are quite steep, particularly for this SA economy. But I think I just want to touch on, why the increase in strokes amongst youth. Early on in the week, we obviously also heard about a few artists that had succumbed to them. And then as we look at the rate of recovery, what does that look like in terms of percentage, and how preventable are they also when we look at precautions and precautions are the measures to avoid?
So a large majority of strokes are completely preventable and are all related to lifestyle factors. So there is a couple of risks that are common regardless of your age. Smoking, excessive alcohol intake, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, even diabetes. Those are common reasons for young and old people to have strokes. And you're right in saying strokes are most common in older individuals. However, that's not to say young people cannot get stroke. Even as young as a newborn baby, you can still have strokes, because other risks are none that you can do anything about. Those include problems with your heart, abnormal heart rhythms, or even patent holes where there shouldn't be holes in the heart. And if the blood itself has a clotting disorder that may be inherited, even inherited high cholesterol diseases and those kind of things, those are things you cannot help yourself about. But however, your lifestyle will increase the risk of a stroke occurring in a person with those risk factors, or even someone with absolutely no other risk factors. So diseases that will increase the risk are and lifestyle issues. Those are the issues that we see, that the more a certain type of lifestyle that a person leads, the higher the risk of strokes and including heart attacks. So the recovery itself.
No, sorry, do continue.
So recovery is different for different reasons based on how big your stroke was, how healthy you are, how healthy your heart and general condition of your body is, and what kind of help you receive. Are you presenting in time to try and get this acute stroke care, or is it a matter of sitting and waiting and trying to figure out how it is? All of that will ultimately show how much recovery a person can have, how big it was, how soon the help was sought, and how healthy to start off with, or how much beating the body has succumbed to everything that we've just discussed, especially because that ultimately, the healthier you are, the easier that you can get back into rehabilitation to recover from a stroke.
Dr. Makwela, just very quickly, one would think that, youth have better chances of not succumbing to such incidences such as strokes, but it seems like there has been an increase of late. And I wonder, in terms of those risk factors, what's causing that amongst the youth?
Lifestyle and lifestyle choices, that's the most important thing. And those risks that are associated with lifestyle, that's the ones that you can do something about, because you can choose not to smoke, you can choose not to drink excessively, and even your risk of HIV, which is also a reason for strokes to be increased in young people. So, and when you have the infection, do you know about it? Because a lot of people don't test, therefore they don't know. And while the disease itself does not care whether you know or not, it will just cause damage where it causes damage. So the more that we are in tune with our bodies, we know your blood pressure, know your sugar level, you try and control your weight and BMI, control your cholesterol with the kind of diet that you eat. Therefore, we can reduce the chances of some other hidden disease that may be inherited that you didn't know about. At least do not make the risk much higher with things that you literally have control over.
Thank you very much for your time here on the SABC. Neurologist Dr. Dimakatso Makwela offering some important tips to be aware of as strokes are on the rise amongst younger people. This is according to reports and recent incidences that occurred in the country.